Welcome to Plastic Photography. So, in this week, you are using some kind of plastic as a way of communicating your ideas through photography. These items can be found around your house, in your garage, maybe even in your trash can. So, for example, the image on the left is just using some bubble wrap, and that bubble wrap is close up and your portrait is a little bit further away, creating this distorted, almost painterly look to the image. Image on the right is just a simple piece of plastic like a trash bag. So here's some more examples that are similar to the first slide where you are dealing with just plain bubble wrap. Again, experiment with your model being closer up and further away. You might need somebody to hold the bubble wrap tight to get this effect. Otherwise, it's usually waving in the wind. To go back to that slide real quick, I've also seen people just tape bubble wrap to an empty frame and also had either the model or somebody hold it to get that nice tight look. Here's some more examples. The image on the right is using just saran wrap that you can find in the kitchen. If you notice, these models are expressive in their emotions. They're not just standing still. They either are emoting their feelings through their eyes, through their facial expressions, etc. Image on the left is a really tight looking piece of plastic, like a trash bag, and they strategically cut a vertical line out to reveal part of their model. If you notice, the model is still visible slightly, almost ghost like, um, in the other areas of the image. Image on the right is using caution tape. Make sure that your model can breathe. If you notice there's a slight space where the model can breathe in this picture. Experiment with the way that the form wraps around the head. This one doesn't do a great job at it, and I think you guys can find a better way to do that kind of concept. Image on the left uses old kind of VHS tapes. Those are probably sitting in your basement. Image on the right is old earbuds. Image on the left is using electrical cord. They purposely used an orange one so that it creates contrast against the white background and gray shirt. Image on the right, if you notice this one, it's kind of fun and playful. It uses straws because straws are also made out of plastic. Image on the left uses Legos and a combination of plastic toys to create this unconventional like portrait. Image on the right is using tape. Make sure that you take care of your model. You do want to put the non-sticky side wrapped around them so that it doesn't rip their hair out or hurt them in any way. But what's interesting about using tape is that you can really distort the forms of the face. Image on the left is using food wrapped in plastic wrap around the person. If you notice, it's also around his body. Again, make sure that your model can breathe if you decide to go and do these kind of concepts. And then these images here, you can use plexiglass, or if you have an old picture frame that is plastic, the person on the left did a little bit of painting on it and took a photograph. Image on the right was an old piece of, it looks like either like parchment paper or maybe some kind of old plastic that's kind of cracked, but it works well for this image. Again, experiment with the distance your model is from the plastic. You don't necessarily have to use models in your image. So, for example, if you look at the image on the left, you notice that there are absolutely no labels, no markings on the water bottles. There's kind of a blue hint to them, and they overlap several of them to create this depth to their photo. Plastic comes in all kinds of shapes and forms. So, for example, the image on the left is a balloon. The image on the right are gloves. Maybe you do kind of a social political um, plastic photo about the glove use. And what works really well for these images is that they're really colorful and poppy. Here's some more images. You can use as much or as little photoshopping as you'd like. So, for example, the image on the right does have a goldfish photoshopped in. You would take a picture of the scene and then you would have somebody hold the balloon with maybe some moss inside of it and water in it. And then you would just Photoshop the goldfish. Image on the left is just a like a clear black bag with some soil and a plant growing out of it. And I think you could find maybe a little more interesting of a plant to incorporate in your photo. So here's a social political image on the left. And then the image on the right is interesting because you're dealing with these colored plastic bags that seem to have really interesting forms. They seem weightless and heavy at the same time. Image on the left is another, actually, both of these are social political images. And then this concept here is that they took all kinds of plastic trash and arranged it in a really organized way to make a social commentary about the use of plastics. So these are just a few ideas. You can use Pinterest as a source of inspiration. I would probably search plastic photography to get really good images and ideas. If you have any questions, let me know.